Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today so far. In the interest of ensuring that everyone is able to be present at the webinar once we start off, we'll just be resuming by around 12:10. So thank you for your patience, and we'll be beginning shortly.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pallavi, and I'm the Director of Student Recruitment and Partnerships at MLA College. And I've got Arjun with me, who's our Partnerships and Alliances Manager. It's a pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. And our role focuses on helping students navigate their academic journey and developing global partnerships that support meaningful learning opportunities. Arjun and I are excited to share insights with you today and to answer any questions you may have. But before that, we would like to take you through what MLA offers. And the way this webinar is going to go ahead is we will share with Arjun is going to share with you a small presentation. He will take you through a small presentation and then we would open the floor for any questions. Arjun and I will then take over questions and ensure that you get all the necessary information that is required for you in order to progress in your future. Arjun, over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, Pallavi, and it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you so much to our attendees for joining us today, especially on a weekend. Trust me, we really appreciate that. So, just a brief introduction to who we are as an institution. MLA College was founded as a part of University of Plymouth's Department of Hydrography around 2012. And since 2017, roughly, we've become an autonomous higher educational institution, which basically means that our resources, our faculty, our curriculum, all of them are designed, produced, and offered in-house itself. And because of this, because of say our relative autonomous functioning, we've also worked on having good range of strategic partnerships which are globally relevant and also globally recognized. And some of them are as follows. As mentioned earlier, since we started off in the University of Plymouth, they happen to be our partner college, and they also happen to be the awarding body for each and every degree that we offer. Apart from that, we are a strategic partner of UNETA, that is the United Nations Institute for Training and Research. We are an official education partner of CFL. CFL is a pilot project of UNITAR itself. And so it is deeply linked to UN SDGs, that is the Sustainable Development Goals. We are a member of BIMCO, we're a member of VISTA, and we are registered for the Office for Students, which gives us accreditation and credibility as an autonomous higher educational institution. So that's a bit about who we are as MLA College. Pallavi, would you like to perhaps shed a bit more light about what differentiates us as an academic institution?
Sure. I think what differentiates us is exactly like Arjun, you said, our degrees are awarded by University of Plymouth. We are a very flexible learning institution, which means that we highly promote study anytime and anywhere. Which means that even if you're on the sea and you're really interested in taking up a course, we ideally call it as a Netflix kind of a platform that we offer, which is called as a total learning package. Basically, you pay for what you want, you download it, and then use it from anywhere possible. The best part about our courses are that they are very innovative in terms of the learning materials we provide, plus the best learning experience because you have personal tutor support, which means that at any point of the time, doesn't matter which part of the world you are based in, all you have to do is your tutors just one call, one email, or one message away from you. We've got three entry points per year: January, May, and September. And I think we are quite flexible in terms of ensuring that a student gets that opportunity to start from anywhere, anytime, and in order to make their learning experience very good. Our courses are divided into modules, which means that in case if you want to start a module in the month of January, you can take up that module in Jan. However, if you want a break because you've got some work commitments, you then have an option of coming back, not necessarily back in May, but you could come back again in September, or for that matter, you could even come back the next year to continue your studies. So, yes, Arjun, I think I've answered it.
Please, more than enough. See, these are it's very helpful that you've highlighted how our institution is different in terms of what we offer, and more importantly, how we offer it, how it is tailored specifically to fit around people's personal and professional life commitments, so that it is not just a standalone study program, but it is an integrated part of people's professional journey as well. And so, building onto that itself, the series of programs that we do offer are as follows. They are broadly under these three classifications. One are our general postgraduate and undergraduate programs. We've got bachelor's and master's in sustainable maritime operations. These programs are the most relevant for active seafarers who would generally like to either upskill themselves to take the next step in their career journey, or they might want to transition onshore. And they also want to incorporate elements of sustainability, considering how relevant this agenda itself is to the maritime industry and how much it has been booming within the recent past. Apart from that, we also offer bachelor's and master's in global sustainable development, and which is where, as I mentioned earlier as well, our strategic partnership with UNITAR comes into play, because the United Nations is one of the co-creating bodies for our sustainability program, and therefore anyone who studies our sustainability programs also gets a certificate of completion from the United Nations, apart from the University of Plymouth degree. So this is the relevance and scope of our sustainability programs. And apart from that, we also have a postgraduate diploma in engineering management. This is the most broad-based course offering that we have, because this is relevant to an engineer from any domain, from any walk of life. They might be engineers in, say, mechanical engineering, aeronautical engineering, aerospace engineering, civil engineering, whatever domain of engineering they have. If they want to have that degree credential to be able to showcase their leadership credibility, that's where this program really steps in and offers a value proposition, which differentiates it from a lot of other degree programs. Moving on, Pallavi, would you maybe like to talk a bit more about our topper programs like our MBAs and MSCs by research projects?
Of course, thank you. I think our MBAs are the best because I think what happens, Arjun, is that a lot of times, as you said, most of our courses are for working professionals. Um, uh, being I've been working since 2005 actually, and what happens is in your daily work environment you kind of tend to forget that sometimes all you need is a degree to upskill your skills, and then of course get a career progression, right? So our MBAs are the best place there because our MBAs are 60 credit modules at this point in time, which means that all you're doing is that you are opting for the course. They are non-taught modules, which means that you just opt in it for it, and at the end of it you get a certificate that you have an MBA from the University of Plymouth again. We've got MBAs in entrepreneurship and innovation, maritime operations, fintech technology, MBA in marketing, and then of course MBA capital market and finance, which means that we are kind of trying to cover all the domains as far as MBAs are concerned. Similarly, for our masters by research projects programs, we've got a sustainability in practice. We've got a shorter course as MSc in sustainable operations. We obviously offer specialized learning into hydrography, meteorology, navigation for professionals. We've got something for oceanography, and then definitely for somebody who's who wants to excel in the engineering for marine professionals background.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pallavi. I think this insight becomes very relatable, especially for people, because a seasoned industry professional like yourself, who has, say, X number of years of industry experience, but they do also want, say, that certification that can take them to the next step, that can establish further their credibility and also give them a more overarching strategic view, right? In whichever field that they choose to specialize in. This is really where these higher level 60 credit degrees step into the, perspective, because of the fact that they take a specialized deep dive into any one subject of specialization, and therefore once the person walks away from that degree, he can say that he's had a very deep theoretical and academic understanding of that particular niche. And therefore, coming from a seasoned industry professional like yourself, I think it acquires greater significance of how theoretical knowledge can supplement this vast experience as well and take a person to the next step. which is what also links to the differentiating aspects of our degrees, right? For our maritime degrees, it's very relevant that we have a strategic partnership with the University of Plymouth, because actually it was ranked first in the world according to Times Higher Education 2021 rankings for its marine research specifically, which is why this degree, all our maritime degrees, acquire a lot of credibility. As of now, our global student base is more than 65 countries. Therefore, more than 65 governments across the world recognize these degrees as well. And so they are very contemporary to the globalizing trends of the maritime sector, right? Which is anyhow not restricted to any one industry or any one geography. Apart from that, Pallavi, maybe would you like to shed more light on why our sustainability programs are differentiated?
Yes, sure, because I think because they are very relevant to the industry and are real world oriented. In terms of sustainability, as I always say, is a very vast topic, Arjun. We are dealing with with the word sustainable in anything and everything, whether you buy a coffee or you buy a small bulb for the house. I think sustainability is the way to go. So I feel that our sustainability courses, the curricula are developed in very close collaborations with industry as experts. And for example, they work with UNITAR, so the UN Institute for Training and Research. I think we work very closely with them in order to ensure that our sustainability programs are up to the mark, and they actually provide you with real world knowledge in terms of how this world is going to go. In fact, you're already aware that we've also recently launched our 17 SDG bite size module programs, which at the end of it gives a student a certificate from UNITAR and also a CPD accreditation, which of course again, for our bite size SDGs, again, for the audience, they are not our bachelor's or master programs. These are small 30-minute programs that anybody can opt for. So I just feel that, alongside our programs being flexible in starting dates, they are tutor led. I think they are very industry relevant, and there is a real world orientation to it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pallavi. And I understand that. I think at this junction, because we've talked about our programs, we've talked about what differentiates them and what makes them credible. I'd just like to briefly summarize it before we move on to the application process. We do have a range of programs, bachelor's and master's, that is level 6 and level 7 programs in maritime and sustainability domains, apart from 60 credit top up programs, which are generally just 1 year long, and they are different specialized fields in MBAs as well as MScs across research projects. And maritime field, as we already stated, the University of Plymouth is a very credible name. The takeaway product, that is the degree, is recognized worldwide, and because of that, it's a very highly accepted and wanted degree. And as Pallavi also mentioned, as sustainability degrees, because they are co-created with UNITAR, they carry a lot of global credibility because, and this is the academic backdrop to this, the United Nations is the creator of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is what governments and corporations across the world follow and they adhere to. So if that body itself is also co-creating a sustainability program, already has the highest level of international credibility a program can possibly have. And as Pallavi also mentioned, that we do have these micro credential courses as well, which are just 30 minutes long, at the end of which you do get your CPD certification as well as say a UNITA certification. So even if one does not have say a year or two to invest in a traditional degree, we do have an alternative which can still help you in your upskilling trajectory. So thank you so much for sharing that, Pallavi. Before we move on to the application process, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not really, Arjun. Thank you. I think I was just wondering if we also needed to mention that we are not, our experience is very different from a traditional on-campus university. So you are basically, for people to know, and I know I would like to repeat this by saying that you're basically trading your campus life and in-person networking for flexibility and remote delivery. That is the key point for our courses, and I think this is something that that people should keep in mind while aligning them with their own career goals and employer expectations, because at the end of it, we all want to grow in our career, we all want to grow in our individuality also.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think this is where the key value proposition we offer steps in as well, right? And this is based on our extensive interaction with both industry professionals in marine and sustainability domain. A lot of active sailors say that I'm going on a 6 month contract, I'm going on an 8 month contract, I won't be available on shore. How do I possibly invest in a degree, right? Do I take a break from sailing? But if I take a break from sailing, who's funding my studies, or how am I actively earning while I've taken the break? This is where, say, our customized programs which are adaptable to people's professional commitments step in, because realistically, even if someone is sailing, they always have the ability to take out an hour or two in a certain day, right? Go through a program in an offline capacity and still not take a break from their career. This is what it's really catered towards. And another interesting tidbit about a sustainability program is also that it also picks up on people's professional trajectory where they are right now. So a large part of our curriculum often integrates their current designation, their current line of work, and the projects revolve around that as well. That if you were to implement sustainability changes, how would you do that in your current corporation at your current level? I believe that's where the relevance also really steps in.
Absolutely. And I think I was just trying to think that, giving a scenario that a marine engineer, I believe, works offshore for on a 4 week rotation, if I'm not wrong, sometimes, which means that they want an MSc but cannot attend in person lecturers. So how MLA college fits in is that because again, repeating this, all modules are online and downloadable. They can study anywhere they can study anywhere and from anywhere without a stable internet connection also, like we said, which means that even if you are at the sea, right? Assessments are course based, no exams are there, schedules are very so your schedule is very predictable, that is there, right? Tutor response, like I said, what we've on with a current survey, Arjun, what we've noticed is that our tutors actually respond within 48 hours, and they provide ongoing guidance. So, which means that an engineer completes an MSc, for example, an MSc SMO course while keeping their job, and also receives a promotion due to new qualifications. What best could anybody in this world offer at this point in time? Similarly, for somebody who's transitioning into a sustainability or an environmental career, a business graduate who wants to shift into ESG or a sustainability, basically to build a sustainability strategy or an or maybe wants to set up an environmental consultancy, how our programs would help in this scenario is, for example, our programs like MSc in sustainability practice or a UNITAR validated degree. A student works on a real world project. Example, if you're working on a coastal risk assessment or a footprint analysis, so I think a student basically is trying to build a portfolio of a sustainable case studies and lands a role as a sustainable analyst, for example, right? So there are a lot of scenarios, I think, that what we can provide alongside our courses, even including for somebody who wants to get into our BScs, because like you said, our BSc is equivalent to the last year of bachelor's. A lot of us, when we are starting our careers, do not have a lot of time due to personal circumstances, not to finish our courses. But what MLA here is to provide is that do not leave your work, continue working, but we are here to support you to get that degree so that you could excel in your career.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pallavi, in terms of how our program realistically links to people's circumstances as well as where they are in their profession. Thank you for providing that key takeaway. Let me just move on to the next phase of our presentation, which is the application process itself, right? Okay, I've understood a bit about MLA college. I've understood these are the degrees offered. These are the value proposition that I get some benefits, by studying from this institution. But how do I exactly apply for it? This is the process, which is extremely simple. There's a certain link that is given, student.mla.ac.uk. That's directly our application portal. As soon as you go on the link, you will directly get the option to either start a new application or track your current application if you've already applied, right? So the simple aspect is you go to start a new application. If you haven't, you just enter your email detail, which is where you'll get your verification code to establish your identity, and boom, you're all set. Your account has been created. Now all you have to do, fill in your personal details, upload your required documents, which I'll just highlight, and then click the submit button. That's it. This process should not take more than 30 minutes, ideally, if you have all your documents accessible to you. So apart from that, there is no other process, nor is there an application fee, hidden or explicit, at any part of the process. So generally, it's quite a quick turnaround time for creating the application itself. And moreover, and this is also where I'll like to see to you soon, Pallavi, these are the documents that are required. First is your up-to-date CV, right? If you're applying, say, for a sustainability program, what's important is that you highlight some sustainability experience you have, or some education you've undergone relevant to the program, right? So that your CV's relevance to the program being applied for can be established. That's very, very important. Another one is that your work experience should be up to present, so that the academic team can see a holistic summary of your career experience. A passport, or if not a passport, in that scenario, any national government issued ID document will also work as an alternative. Your academic certificates and transcripts up to the highest level that you have studied. Very important. Both of these, because the academic committee would need to see your past academic record, your performance, the modules you studied. Do they relate to the program you're applying for? All these conditionalities. So without this overview, they would not have nothing to, they won't have anything to go on either. Very important. Your personal statement, which is really your letter of motivation. This is what's underlying where you come from, what your journey is, why you wish to apply, and what your career aspirations are, which this program can help you meet. This 200, 300 word summary really is a personality profile of you and your suitability for the program in front of the academic team. And finally, an English language certificate, if applicable, which basically means that you might have a standardized one like IELTS, TOEFL, etc. If not, if you have a national government issued high school certificate which passes country specific marks, that might work. And if not, we still offer a free of cost Oxford placement test, which is very simple. It can be done from the comfort of your own home. And again, it does not require any fees. So that is always covered in end-to-end scenarios. Pallavi, am I missing out anything in the documentation
No,
required?
no, I think, but I just want to emphasize on one thing, that the most important thing here is your personal statement. I think your personal statement is basically your CV, writing down as to why, personal statement alongside your CV. Because as we said, Arjun, a lot of our courses do not require you to have a full bachelor's or a master's. I think it's more relevant. While you may have a diploma or an HND, it requires more of your work experience, like we said, right? So I think the most important thing here in that case is you writing a very good personal statement to show as to why you think you should be doing this course. I think so. Yeah, that's the only thing, and of course, an up-to-date CV, which I think you've said this clear and loud.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pallavi. And I'd just like to share an example from my own experience, because I used to work as a recruitment officer for almost 2 years. So it was my job to go through these documents, to interact with thousands of interested applicants and understand their career aspirations, right? Generally, even though we say that in the maritime domain you need to come from a maritime background to apply for a marine program, but it did happen that someone came from a healthcare background and they applied for a master's in marine operations program, and their personal statement was so convincing, it so explicitly gave their interest and how they specifically plan to use the degree, that the academic team was prepared to grant an exception for them, and now they've successfully completed the program. So we can see what a differentiator a personal statement can make in making an application competitive or uncompetitive. So thank you, Pallavi. That's a beautiful insight for the application process. Now, in terms of what happens next, you've applied, you've uploaded the relevant documents that are required. What are the next steps that they look like? It's quite simple. You submit your application, it goes to the admissions team. The admissions team basically sees if your documents are intact, if there's anything missing. If so, then they reach out to you. They suggest, rather, there's no blatant rejection of applications. They reach out, they tell you that this is missing, this could be rectified. After that, it goes to the admissions panel, which will also have the academic on board, and they'll evaluate and give you the final verdict on your application, which could be either a offer, which could be conditional or unconditional, or it could be a rejection or an alternative given to you based on your experience. So there are always different aspects as outcomes which are possible based on your application. Pallavi, would you like to highlight the time scale involved in all this?
Yeah, sure. You've submitted an application. I think the application needs to be, if an application is complete, I think that admissions team, because again, it is as much as we would like to encourage everybody to apply, I think we have to be very careful of the expectations that we set with our students, right? In terms of, if they're going to get through the course or not get through. And here, that's why I would like to definitely mention that we've got a very robust team in terms of. How we call them as student recruitment counselors, which potentially try and get in touch with you once you inquire. So I will just go a step behind and try and cover the inquiry process. So once you inquire with MLA College, there is a robust team of student recruitment counselors that potentially get in touch with you and try and help you, understand MLA better, and in return tries and understand what your wants are in terms of where you want to be in your career. A lot of times as student recruitment counselors, and I think Arjun, you very rightly mentioned that you worked 2 years in the student recruitment counseling, you know and the example you gave, but I'm sure that when you're speaking to professionals, you kind of try and also guide them in terms of what is right for them and what is not right for them, right? Because you're a subject matter expert in this, if that course, where that course would take them through, right? So I think it is very important. So that's the first stage where we try and obviously the student's choice is the final choice, but we try and guide them the right way. Once the application has been finished, I think it takes at least a minimum, depending on what time of the week the application was submitted. It takes them at least, our admissions and academic team, to come back to you with a response in terms of how successful your application's been within 48 to 72 hours working hours, which is absolutely what Arjun said, 1 or 2 days. I think, so we get back within 48 to 72 working hours in terms of what the decision from an academic has been. Most of the times we try and keep it very straightforward. However, in case if we also always give that benefit of doubt that there could have been, because we are all very busy, we may have missed out on some information from a student. We try and our admissions team again is quite robust in that they will come back, they will ask you questions. So please feel free to look out for an email from them at all times. My experience of dealing with applications in the last three intakes has been that we've been able to offer a student a space into our program within 4 to 5 working days at the max. I don't think, only in case if we need a student to go back and do a project based analysis, that's the time where we give a student 2 to 3 weeks, because we don't want, we are not an institution that we believe a lot into quality, so we want to give you enough time, and space to work around that. But yes, Arjun, like you said, I think I would rather say yes, allow 7 days for your outcome to come, but I would say you would receive it within 3 to 4 working days.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pallavi. And I think this correlates with my experience as well, because I personally went to a public institution for my higher education, and it took me around 4 months to get an outcome on my application. And even if I was, of course, interacting with the admissions team, I would generally get a reward from them in 2 to 3 weeks, because I'm assuming they were probably not staffed up to the number of applications they were receiving. But it was much more stressful for me, right? Because 4 to 5 months I did not know what the outcome on my application is, what should be my next step, and there was an application fees involved, right? So I feel in that regard, MLA College makes this process more feasible for the person involved, right? Do we make it easy for them? Are we giving them stressors when they're already very professionally and personally occupied, or are we making it as easy for them as possible? And are we adding the human touch by being in touch with them at all phases of the application process? So thank you so much for sharing that.
I absolutely thank you, Arjun, and I think I'm sorry if I'm going to take a little bit more time from you on this, but I've been working in for a decade in the education industry, and I've dealt with a couple of universities. I think no matter at what stage you are a student, you see, basically you are a customer. Right. And I think we need answers very quickly. The world's so quick these days with AI, with everything, that everybody needs an answer very quickly. So I think, and waiting 4 months, I'm assuming it must have been very frustrating for you because you don't know which way to go. You don't know if you should go and apply for another university or you should still stick for your answer because that's something that you are really, you really want to go in for. So I think what matters in today's world is today's fast-paced world is quick turnarounds. And like I said, that it can take 3 to 4 days or maximum 7 days. We've had scenarios where if it is a very straightforward application, and that's why I will go back to my earlier point where I said that your CV and your personal statement needs to be really strong. I think if that's the way, you can even have an answer within a day. You see. So
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
yeah. Thank you, Arjun. Over to you.
No worries at all. I was just thinking because I know we said at the start that we'd allocate some time to Q&A at the end, but I do believe that since we're already on the application phase and we do have a question relevant to the application phase, that we might as well address it now. So I'll pose this to you, Pallavi. This has come in from Brian, who stated that he's a member of the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers. He's undertaken all his studies in English, being a Kenyan citizen, where the curriculum is in the English language medium, but his challenge is the English certificate requirement, right? Will he have to specifically take an IELTS, TOEFL, and then apply with us, or does he have an alternative as well?
So I think this will be purely based on we looking at his documents and going through his CV and personal statement. But Dragon, your question's amazing. I think, and just to let you know, we work very closely with ICS and we're doing a couple of events with them. So, but in order to answer your question, we will need to review your documents before I can answer that for you. However, like Arjun mentioned initially, we do have a free test and free Oxford placement test, which we can offer you. It won't take more than 30 to 40 minutes of your time, Dragon, and you can do it at your own, at your own convenience. Um, yeah, Arjun, have I answered it okay?
Thank you, Pallavi. I think Brian would be clear on this. If not, you're most welcome to ask another question on this, Brian. No worries. But we do have one more question actually. This is from Mr. Balaman. He's asked that what the requirements for undergraduate applicants are. That do they need to submit any certificates? If you don't mind, I don't. I can handle this question.
Yeah, sure,
Uh,
please go.
Thank you. So, Mr. Balaman, as we mentioned, with regards to the certificates, it is your academic certificate and transcript. We understand that generally for undergrad, a person's assumption might be that if they're out of high school, they can directly apply for a traditional undergrad degree, right? But this is where our undergraduate programs are also different. As Pallavi mentioned, we do offer top up bachelor's programs, which are equal to a final year of a bachelor's, which is why uh, at least some of your higher educational transcript or certificate we would require. It might take the form of a diploma, it might take the form of some other vocational program which is beyond high school. If you do have any such certification, we would require that to still be able to understand your academic eligibility. If you have none of that, we could still enter into a discussion and see what feasibilities could exist. So we would still never dissuade anyone from reaching out to us, from applying with us. It would be for the recruitment officer to connect with you and have a conversation to understand your scope better. So I hope that answers your question as well. Now, moving on to the final phase, fees and finance. Pallavi, is this a part where you'd like to take over this part of the conversation?
Yes, sure, Arjun. Thank you. So, as it is mentioned on the screen, we want to make education accessible to all. Of course, however, we are an institution, we are a private institution, which means that there is a fees associated with any program that we do. We also try and provide. We are trying to be competitive in terms of other organizations also, which do provide very similar. Which do provide very similar kind of courses. The best part about MLA colleges that are we do provide payment plans which are very flexible, and I was mentioning before, we try and work around as our payment plans are more around modules. They are more module based, which means the minute you've had an offer letter, what we try and tell you is that if you could potentially pay within 7 days of the offer letter that you have received a smaller amount, which is £1,000 deposit to block your seat. Despite of the fact that we are online, the issue that the reason why we try and push our students to try and reserve their seat much in advance is because of the tutor allocation that we need to do. We want our students to have the best experience possible, which means that tutor allocation is the most important thing at this point in time. So, yes, what we do is we offer flexible payment options, which can go, depending on the length of the course, can go anywhere between 6 to 12 months of. However, you only pay for the module when you're about to start, which means that if you're going to be finishing a course within, hypothetically, if your course is for 12 months, I think you are given an option of paying your fees between 6 to 8 months, if I'm not mistaken. Again, it depends on which course you've taken, what amount of discounts you've received, if you've had any scholarship, etc. So I would say that flexible payment options, no hidden costs, and like we know, study from anywhere in the world. If the team has a chance, you should also look at our website. We do offer, and I think, Arjun, I just saw a message, somebody asking us in terms of if we provide scholarships or no scholarships, right? And I would try and take that also, if you don't mind.
Please.
Yeah. So yes, we do provide scholarships, but we do try and run scholarships, and a lot of them you would find on our website. So we have a MLA bursary scheme. An MLA bursary scheme is specialized for people that are based out of the UK and or non-UK residents also. We do about six bursaries for about £500 for UK resident students, which are over 5 years of age on enrollments. We also do six bursaries for over £500 for non-UK students, resident students, and we also try and promote women in maritime scholarship. So any student, that any women that wants to study with us, we do try and promote that, because and this was actually launched in March 2021 to support the International Women's Day, and we've not removed it since then, because I think we want to promote. We do have memberships with BIMCO. We've got a professional membership discount with ICS, IMAREST. Then we've got a lot of other professional bodies. We also try and launch region-based scholarships, because we do understand that not because of the currency exchange, and because of because of the demographies of the world, we try and do regional-based scholarships. We also try and review student cases, where I feel that if depending on how their profile is, we can go anywhere between 10% till about 20%, sometimes higher, depending on what the situation is. So yes, we welcome everybody, and we would like people to apply with us and stay with us.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pallavi, because an inside joke generally within MLA remains that even though we do not have a full form, but MLA stands for making learning accessible. That's been an inside thing, because of course it's not our official full form, but it is linked to our core ethos. It is linked to our core value, right? Which is why there's flexibility, there's distance learning, there's offline capacity, and there's option for financial feasibility as well, right? For people who may not be able to say self-fund in a lump sum amount, which is the traditional university route financially, right? This deeply links to the modalities of payment do we offer, that we offer, right? What channels of payment do we offer, what options do we offer to people? So these are three major modalities we offer to people if they wish to apply with us. Well, first of course is the traditional route of self funding, right? They can pay for the entire program fees themselves. uh, Of course, lump sum has always been the traditional that if they wish, they can pay for the entire fee in one go, if that is permissible for them, if that is financially feasible for them. But we understand that for people who may want to say, distribute their finances, they may have other personal or professional commitments to which they might want to, invest their funds into. We do offer payment plan as well, as Pallavi has talked about multiple times, which basically is that because this is a very Netflix-esque model of education, you're paying for a particular module, you're accessing that, then you're paying for the next module before going for that, right? So you're able to go about your program in a very discrete modular basis rather than, a continuous lump sum sort of way. So this is the sort of financial flexibility which we do offer, in which people are able to say even take study breaks between successive modules if they feel that even if not professionally but financially it is not viable for them to continue at a particular junction. So we do have a lot of these feasibility aspects, but of course Pallavi, being the director of partnerships and recruitment, would be better placed to explain our corporate and government funding routes.
So we do, and this is what I was going to come to. Thank you, Arjun. So, for example, for everybody to know, MLA is very closely, MLAs. Most of the students come from Singapore, and the MPA funding, which is from the Maritime Cluster Fund in Singapore, is hugely supported for MLA courses. So our MLA courses are listed on the MPA website, which means that anybody that is a resident for in Singapore can is able to claim 70%, up to 70% of the program's fees they pay. Right. Similarly, for students in the UK, a lot of our programs are actually supported by the student finance in England. So there is this another opportunity, despite of the fact they being online. I think that's a very good opportunity that Student Finance England provides, that a lot of our courses can be, compensated through them. In terms of corporate, we've had a lot of corporate tie-ups where we've seen employers who are really interested in employee upskill, have invested in their career enhancements. So, that option is always available. Please feel free to speak to us in detail about this. We also help you frame an email to your employer in terms of how it would benefit them in terms of sponsoring an employee. So, yeah, all of these are definitely available. We've got. Sorry, Arjun, up to you. I think I've kind of, spoken about it. We also, on the side, Arjun and I are very closely working with a lot of governments to see if we can get more governments on board for MLA College. We are also we are also planning on launching some new programs which would be marine specific. Namely, if I'm not, I'm just dropping a little clue there, which would be associated a lot with people that are really interested in understanding more about marine law and digitalization in the shipping industry. So yes, Arjun, over to you.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Pallavi. I think webinars are spots in which we can leak some insider information as an institution. So we are always in touch with our academic team to understand, what sort of R&D is going on, what sort of new programs are being developed, because we feel that if the development of new programs respond to market needs, that's where the relevance really steps in, right? And this is the conversation we've been having, as Pallavi has just mentioned, that marine law, right, the commercial law aspect of marine industry, right, their decarbonization aspects, their digitalization aspects, these are all very contemporary topics. They are A, highly employable, and B, they are not given often by most education institutions. So they are not very mainstream yet. But people who are taking certifications in these programs are already preparing themselves for the next 5 years, because this is an industry which does lag behind the trends in terms of, providing the academic exposure for that. So as we've, I believe, somewhat accidentally leaked, there are programs in R&D which are there to respond to market needs, and we will have more updates on them by next year. So please stay tuned for that. And thank you so much for sharing the different. Sorry, Pallavi, do you want to share something?
No, no, no. I would like to share something once we are towards the end. But yes, please go ahead.
Right.
Arjun?
So as Pallavi has just shared about, the government and corporate sponsorship routes, if they are accessible to you in your region at whichever governmental or corporate level that they are, we fully encourage people to go through these routes because we understand that education is generally a huge part of learning and development strategies of different organizations. So even if that idea might not come initially, we still believe it's wise to perhaps go to your representative, ask them that, hey, would you be willing to fund this for me if it is not accessible for me directly? And we as representatives are always also keen to connect with these institutional players at your end, and tell them about our programs, tell them about the options available. So it is not always only on the end person to pick up the entire financial burden. So thank you so much for shedding more light on that, Pallavi. So again, the ways of paying are varied. It's based on your comfort. You can pay via credit, debit card, PayPal, bank transfers. So if a particular payment might not be very comfortable or authorized, say from your country, there's always different channels. So will never be, say, a reason for something getting stuck. Don't worry about that. Um, so before I think this is the round for questions, and I did see one pop up which was quite relevant, which was that for mature applicants or those who are returning to education after a long time, how does their professional experience, right? Like for example, in your case, Vallavi, you've had more than a decade and a half of experience in your sector. How does that correlate for the admissions team? Do they only look at your academic qualification, or does their professional experience play a role here?
I think more than academic, I think it is going to be more professional. And, I think age is just a number. I think for with MLA in education also, I know we generally say that for fitness, for anything that we want to do in life, age is just a number. But with MLA in the education sector, I think age is just a number. A lot of it is dependent on your work experience. And even if you've had a break, we would like you to come back and restart your career. I think this is what we want to encourage you on. And that again takes me back to a point, which is your personal statement. I think personal statement here is the most important thing, Arjun.
Thank you so
And
much
of
for
course,
sharing
like
that.
I said earlier, we've got a very robust team that can help you. Our intention is that if you are interested, we will ensure that we make way for you to come and study with us, to ensure that, if the program's not relevant to your experience, we would try and suggest something else for you. But we want you to study, and we do, I think our team ensures that.
Thank you for sharing that, Pallavi. And I think that also aligns with the data we've had of successful applicants at our end. Their ages might be starting from, say, early 20s, and it might go all the way up to 70, right? So even age spectrum wise, it's very varied because we do believe that there's no right age at which one is supposed to study. It is based on their interest, their passion. And that is where we do, and this is where the RPL framework from the academic team comes in, which is recognition of prior learning. So even if the academic credits don't stack up by themselves, the professional qualifications are equated to their academic credits. So for example, just for a marine experience example, a person, even if they don't traditionally have a bachelor's, but they are, say, a chief engineer or they're, say, a captain, their COC does equate to an academic qualification as well. So we always recognize that sort of professional qualification as well. And I do believe that we've received a very good question, which can holistically bind up our application discussion, which is that what sort of final advice can we give for a strong competitive application? What is it that seals the deal for someone?
Again, the answer remains the same, your work experience and your personal statement. Because, in all honesty, we do not get to meet you. All we do is we base your interest in the program is through the personal statement and the CV that you've provided to us. So I think what is more important is, and I know I'm sorry that I keep repeating this, but yeah, in order to for us to know if you really are interested and if you're a potential candidate, a strong personal statement of the work that you've done, the work you want to do, and why you feel that this course would be helpful for you to ensure that you progress in your career, you excel in your career, is going to be through your CV and your personal statement.
Thank you for sharing that insight.
And last but not the least, I definitely want to tell everybody our next intake start is due to start on the 26th of January, and the application portal is open. We have some amazing scholarships and discounts that we are running at this point in time. We would like to encourage people to get in touch with us and take us through your interest, and we will try and ensure that we put you through this entire process in a very managed way. There is, as such, the deadline to apply for the program is 16th of Jan at this point in time. However, we are happy to extend the deadline by another week. But I would suggest, I think, as MLA, we would suggest the sooner you make this decision, it is better for you, because we definitely want to assign the best tutor possible with us in your case. So yes, and last but not the least, and sorry, Arjun, I'm going to steal your thunder here. We would also like to say that MLA's vision for 2026 is going to be flexible learning, which means that we want to encourage students. As MLA, we want to be able to provide to students an online learning platform, a blended learning platform, and on-campus learning platform. Please feel free to, I would encourage everybody to follow us on our socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, especially LinkedIn, where you will have a lot of exciting news that you will get to read in the coming future. So yes, thank you everybody. And from MLA College, of course, Arjun's already posted two email addresses. My email address is pallavi.sharma@mla.ac.uk, and Arjun's is arjun.secon@mla.ac.uk. Last but not the least, if you have any queries, please feel free to write here. And we wish you a very and a happy Merry Christmas in advance, and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope to connect with you after the webinar as well. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, everybody.